good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live on news about Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Okansi.
My name is Beatrice Adu.
This evening, the judiciary and the radar civil society groups accuse the courts of undermining Ghana's democracy by remanding democracy hub protesters. We have details of all of these stands taken by these individuals and institutions here on Hot Edition.
Also coming up on this program, liquefied petroleum gas supply improves after shortage in part of the capital city. We'll tell you more.
And here on your Election Command Center, we update you on what's happening from 71 days to Election Day, December 7, 2024. Also, the Bank of Ghana launches its gold coin to help the central bank mop up excess liquidity in the banking sector. We have the details as well, and the latest in business and sports in the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Grace Amwajiman is here with a summary of the news.
Yes, Alfred, and let's begin from here. A severe shortage of liquefied petroleum gas has hit parts of Accra, leaving residents and businesses frustrated. Several gas retail outlets are displaying no gas signs, while long queues are forming at the few stations that have stock. In some parts of the city, customers have been sighted carrying gas cylinders in search of the commodities. Marketers have cautioned that if the situation persists, it could lead to the closure of gas stations across the country, disrupting daily life and causing significant inconvenience. And the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has reported significant exam malpractices in this year's WASI at various centers. According to Head of Public Affairs John Kapi, all examination officials found to have engaged in malpractices in the just ended 2024 WASI will be sanctioned. The Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, is urging the Electoral Commission to address the concerns of all stakeholders regarding the demand for a forensic audit of the voters' register. Co-chair of CODEO, Elizabeth Joyce Villa, says this will help boost the confidence and trust in the register and the Commission. And in the midst of Ghana's uphill battle against illegal mining, or Galamsey, the firemen community of Jema in the Alwyn municipality of the Western North region has taken a decisive stand by banning the practice entirely. This bold action, coming at a time when many believe the fight against Galamsey is being lost, offers a glimmer of hope for environmental protection across the country. That's it for the news summaries.
Thank you very much, Grace Hamwajiman. Let's bring you the details of our stories tonight. And we start with this because some civil society groups are accusing the judiciary of undermining Ghana's democracy by remanding democracy hub protesters. The movement coordinator for Africans Rising and the Economic Fighters League alleged that a coordinated effort between the court and police to stifle dissent as affairs grow over the fate of some detained protesters whose whereabouts remain unknown. Their criticism follows the admission from the Ghana Police Service to unlawfully detaining two protesters for more than 48 hours. And Ernesto Yeboah is leader of Economic Fighters League. He'll be joining us very shortly. I'll be delving into that conversation. Meanwhile, the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative CHIR Africa office has raised serious concerns over the Ghana Police Service's treatment of the Democracy Hub protesters. In a statement, CHIR condemned the police for violating constitutional right to assembly and due process, as many arrested were detained unlawfully and denied access to legal counsel. The Commission called for investigations into police conduct, sanctions against officers, and reforms to ensure the protection of human rights and lawful practices in Ghana. Still on this, the Ghana Police Service has admitted to unlawfully detaining two protesters for more than 48 hours. The service says that the officers involved in this disturbing occurrence are currently the subject of internal disciplinary proceedings. This admission by the police is contained in its latest statement on events surrounding the Democracy Hub demonstration. Let me run you through what the police has been saying so far. There are 54 persons arrested and arraigned so far. Also, suspect Gloria Vera Lewis is not pregnant as claimed on social media. Again, 50-year-old protester Grace Asantua charged with the offense of exposing a child to danger by bringing her to the demonstration grounds. Also, the police administration has directed the Police Professional Standards Bureau, PPSB, formerly PIPS, to investigate the circumstances under which two of the suspects were kept in police custody beyond 48 hours without being sent to court for necessary disciplinary action to be taken against those responsible. And we're joined on the line now by security analyst Richard Kumado. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Now we're having the police admitting that indeed they were on the wrong side of the law they are supposed to be enforcing. To you, what immediate steps do you recommend for the government to restore public trust in the Ghana Police Service and, of course, ensure accountability for any unlawful arrests?
I've always maintained the position that non-punishable offenses will always rationalize bad behavior and promote anti-social tendencies within law enforcement agencies. This is one of these particular cases we are talking about. Knowing Dan Parry and the way he has acted in the past, if this case comes to his knowledge, I wouldn't be surprised he would have interdicted those responsible for this particular error. But then again, these are some of the reasons why, by and large, many of our demonstrations in Ghana has received high-handedness by the police. Police irresponsibility and lawlessness of some officers within the service has jeopardized public safety, and they have been harshly treating civilians, particularly those who are demonstrating. So I'm not surprised at all.
But at least for the first time in a long time, we've had the police admitting and telling us that the office, which used to be called PIPS, now PPSB, is going to probe this and, of course, recommend the necessary disciplinary action to be taken. Where else do we go from here?
No, I think it's a good thing, though it's long coming. That is also because there has been a lot of legal advocacy and legal interest in many of the things that have been in the recent past. And this is how democracies are run. Rule of law, accountability, and leadership responsibility. Until we are able to achieve these three things, we will have a long way to go in terms of police brutality, law enforcement, professional policing, and what is expected of civilians in relation in dealing with police people, whether they are demonstrating or whether they have been found culpable of committing a crime. I think it's long overdue, but then we can clap for them and say they have been responsible for at least this particular time around.
Already, we don't have a clean sheet as regards how we treat civilians in this country, either by the police or other security agencies or even by the government. I'm wondering what implications you foresee for Ghana's international standing regarding this latest incident.
I've worked with the BNI for a number of years. I've been a security consultant for national security institutions and big committees and law enforcement agencies. One of the things I have always ensured is that we need to have due diligence institutions or ethic institutions within law enforcement agencies. And by doing so, we are able to look at where the excesses are coming and be able to address them on time. In Ghana, because politics is such a way that we don't take responsibility for our actions, it has allowed many of these things to go unpunished. I'm happy that gradually we are waking up. In terms of the Global Peace Index, we have fallen down a little bit, which also means that when it comes to public safety, security of civilians, their relationship with law enforcement, we are not doing well. It is my hope and prayer that somebody will wake up and those who have the power to act will act appropriately and rightly so that we will be able to address this issue. And going forward, we will know that civilians have a role to play and the police have a higher responsibility in dealing with people who come under their control.
In the midst of this, there are renewed calls for reforms within the police service. It's not the first time we'll hear that. How do you think that could be done?
One of the key things that needed to be done within the police is people have spoken about appointments, but I'm of the view that within the police itself, their structures do not work. And the level of functions and the layers of functions they have within the police service sometimes can be crumbled up. And because there's also a red tape at the very top, it crashes many of the things they themselves set up to do. I will be worried, and they themselves will be worried if they have external people coming to look into their affairs and want to suggest or recommend. But then again, they should be ready, because we are getting to the point where people will say the police can address their own issue and they are not accountable enough. So they would need some other people. One of the key things I will expect they doing forward is best practices. The other one is the quality of training. Then the other one is positioning and realigning operational capabilities with the qualities of people they have within the service. Until they are able to do some of these things, people are going to take the law into their own hands because they wear the uniform and they have access to guns, and they will brutalize civilians, and we'll come back to square one.
Richard Kumado, thank you very much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
And Richard Kumado is a security analyst sharing his views on this latest arrest of Democracy Hub protesters and the implications for us.
It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, the widespread shortage of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, has disrupted daily lives and causing significant inconvenience to some consumers. A lack of supplies from bulk oil distributors has also led to more than 70% of gas stations running out of consignment and heavy pressure mounting on the remaining outlets. Judge Quenning was in town to assess the situation earlier today. Now reports.
And Enum Fio is a Cathedral of 15 years experience. She's racing behind time to honor a client's order amid widespread shortage of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. At this point, she has no option than to get gas to bake meat pie for a baby christening next day.
I went to we don't have gas. I went to Teshin, I went to Nungwa, there is no gas. So it was my driver who told me we should come here. There is some here. So when we came to no gas, I really need to find, because I wouldn't know what to do. I really need to find gas. One way or the other, I have to. If I have to go from here to Tema to get gas, I have to.
And in all this, you have to pay your transport.
It's a must pay. It's a must pay. Because
I'm just imagining what you're going to tell your client.
As at now, I don't know what to say, and I can't disappoint. So I have to do my best to find gas.
Consumers, including residents and business owners, are distressed. Their faces tell it all. The shortage has led to more than 70% of gas stations running out of gas. This is one of 4 gas stations we've visited so far, and the story is still the same. Notice of no gas. And so if you're a consumer like my sister right here, when you come here, you feel a bit disappointed. You try and seek other options which does not look promising, or you go home empty-handed.
It's not paining me that I didn't get the gas. The fuel that I use coming here, I could have also, use it for a different thing. That could have made me come instead of coming here. It's deep, but we are not only freeing the youth. I beg, free the gas too.
I have a serious problem here because sometimes the charcoal too is very expensive. Here is the case. I heard the sack is almost 180 cedis. So if I'm to buy that one and the stress too. So you can imagine this one, if I buy this, it takes more than a month before it's finished.
The car used to come, I'll pay the transport. After that, I'll send it. They say I'll pay the same transport and go to the house. It's very bad.
The remaining 30% with limited consignment are struggling to meet an overwhelming demand, just like this station at Alajo. The winding queue says it all. In response to the situation, Tema Oil Refinery TOR has indicated an improvement in bulk oil distribution, which largely accounted for the shortage. Vice President of LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kume, is hopeful things will normalize soon.
I can confirm to you that the shortage is quite extensive, especially within the Tema Greater Accra metropolis. But the good news is that this morning, we have started loading from the depot. So we expect that within the next 24 to 48 hours, the supply situation on the ground should be normalized. And there's not going to be any price hikes. LPG pricing is controlled. We are being controlled by the National Petroleum Authority. So you cannot just charge any price at range. We run a 2-week window period within which prices are supposed to go up, stay the same, or go down. And this is being monitored closely by the National Petroleum Authority. So consumers are not expected to pay anything more than what they are paying currently.
It remains to be seen whether or not the improvement in the supplies from bulk oil distributors will impact in real time.
George Quinning there. Now, this is a situation we're monitoring quite closely. We'll give you an update shortly about how things are playing out across the country, and especially heavily hit areas in the Greater Accra region. The National Petroleum Authority has also been giving indication of some increased supply of LPG onto the market to address what we're monitoring right now. We'll give you some details of that shortly. But some of the consumers have also been sharing the ordeal with us having to go through a number of these LPG filling stations without getting the LPG.
I didn't hear any information about there's no gas in the station, so I just came and I saw that the gate is closed, so I'll be returning you.
Do you have any option for cooking?
Cooking. The probability will be less that will be cooking today, but we have some gas to in the house.
So you don't know how long that will sustain?
Yes. That's why I came to top up this one, in case. And I came to when I saw that the gate is closed.
Those are some LPG consumers as well sharing their experience with us earlier today. We'll keep an eye on that. That's when we get through to the National Petroleum Authority. We'll get some more details of what the situation is going forward. Let's stay a bit further on this, and let's go on to the telephone quickly now. Abbas Tasunte is head of pricing at the National Petroleum Authority, NPA. Abbas, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening.
Abbas, now we got information about this widespread reports of a shortage of LPG on the market. Earlier today, there's been some updates that there's been an increase in the supply of LPG onto the market. Are you able to tell us some more?
Yes, please. So actually, there wasn't a shortage in the supply of the product physically. The products were available at the depots. I think there was an operational challenge with regards to reconciling the volume after discharge from the vessel into the various depots. That took some time to complete, and that is what caused the shortages at the filling stations, because loadings couldn't happen at the depots. These issues were addressed yesterday between the supplier and the various depots. But we were informed that it took some time for them to get the GRA clearances for them to be able to sell at the depots. That was done almost at the end of yesterday. So from today, all of them have had access to their products, and loadings began actually this morning, so there have been some loadings. The other concern was the fact that because we were going to the weekend, mostly the depots don't operate during the weekends, so there could be some further shortages at some of the retail outlets. But we've spoken to the depots to do long extra hours today and possibly work tomorrow, so that we can be more loading from the depots.
And have the depots agreed to this proposal or this call that you're making on them?
Yeah, so we spoke to the BDCs themselves. Actually, they indicated that once there are extra orders, which we have to go into tomorrow, they are making those arrangements with the depots so they can load.
I see. Now,
we have been on standby in case any request comes from them to allow them to work beyond the regular hours. We have been ready to approve that for them.
And I get the understanding. So what led to this, artificial shortage today was an outlier?
Yes, it was an outlier. Actually, this is not something that was expected, because imports have been happening all the time, and this reconciliation is part of the process. This particular one, I think there was some little misunderstanding with regards to the meter readings that were supposed to be used to confirm the volumes on the outing report before they all signed to be able to sell. We've spoken to all the parties involved, and we've agreed on the way forward, how this thing should be handled so it doesn't lead to some of these shortages.
I see. So you can say with certainty that all things being equal, going forward, this is not going to happen again.
Yes, so we've been importing LPG all these years, and we hardly have these things. For issues that involve human beings and operational issues like this, once in a while these things can happen. But for this particularly, we realize that there's lack of clarity on some of these issues is what caused that. So we are putting that on paper clearly for all parties to understand that this issue in particular, where there are misunderstandings with what should be used as a meter reading, that shouldn't happen any longer. But with operations at facilities, sometimes these things happen. But we have to be proactive, more proactive, and ensure that we don't be any shortage.
I see. So for the consumers who are listening to us right now, the assurance is that we're going into the weekend with enough LPG at the station, so there's no reason to be concerned.
Not at all. There shouldn't be any concern. That's the reason why we asked that they should work extra hours just to ensure that loadings will happen on Saturday, even though usually they don't load on Saturdays, so that we don't have any shortages.
Abbas, appreciate you. Thank you.
That's just to make up for the lost time during the week.
Right. Abbas, thank you very much for this update.
You're welcome.
Abbas Tasunte is head of pricing and regulation at the National Petroleum Authority, NPA. Giving us details and assurance there.
Let's return to our earlier story about some civil society groups accusing the judiciary of undermining Ghana's democracy by remanding Democracy Hub protesters, and also the police admitting that indeed it has been wrong detaining 2 people 48 hours unlawfully. And we're joined by ACP Dr. Benjamin Nagozo. He's a retired senior police officer. Good evening to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Doc, we're having a situation. The police is admitting that there was an unlawful detention of 2 of the protesters. The matter, we are told, has been referred to PPSB, formerly PIPS. How could this have occurred in the first place, based on what you know from the police service?
First of all, let me commend the police for this admission. So, police do not often do some of these challenges that they face when they are dealing with the members of the public. And when you ask, how did this come about? It came about because of the pressure that civil society and other groups have been piling on the police service. And that gives us an indication that unless we stand up for our rights, nobody will respect us. Unless we begin to pile pressure and put pressure on the police, based on our information and knowledge that we have, we will not get there. But let me return to the substantive issue. The substantive issue is why the police service should refer such a case to the PPSB. What is the mandate of the PPSB? The PPSB is supposed to investigate infractions by the police service and report to the Inspector General of Police. But let me tell you this. We have something we call in the police service as to read the call, which means that there is always a tendency for police to support themselves and to deal leniently with themselves. Let me refer you to this Nkoranza issue where one guy was killed, whatever. If you remember that carefully, that case was referred to the PPSB. Have you heard about it again? If the police want to shield certain issues, then they quickly refer it to themselves, and then they investigate themselves, and most of the time they vindicate themselves, or they do behind-the-scene actions and then virtually kill the issue. What I will propose then is that just like other countries, we must have what we call independent complaints commission. We cannot have a situation where police will continue to investigate themselves. Once police investigate themselves, you are not likely to get the facts. They investigate themselves because they want to hide the facts. And so for me, such a serious matter must not go to the police. There can be a committee to investigate, an independent committee, or like other countries, we must have what we call independent complaints commission. But I do not agree, and I disagree vehemently with this decision by the Inspector General of Police to investigate himself and his own institution. What else are we going to get out of it?
So for you moving forward, it's the independent investigative body that will work for you?
Investigative independent complaints commissions that are found in many other countries must be placed. It's one of the institutions that are missing in our democratic or in our justice system.
But again, I'm getting a bit surprised that you're saying that PPSB is one of the ways the police uses to kill issues that are ideally supposed to be investigated. Because I remember very well when it used to be PIPS, even Opombwenu, who used to be the boss of PIPS at the time, we used to hear results of, investigations that were done. So how do you come back concluding?
I gave you an example, and I'd like you to find out, and I'm asking whether you have heard anything about that report. Police were supposed to investigate that killing in Koranza, and it was referred to PPSB. Have you heard anything about it? And I'm telling you that you are not going to hear anything good about this. I mean, this is beyond the police service. This is an issue that must be investigated by an independent committee. The Minister of Interior could as well set up a committee to investigate this. Once the police have admitted, then the Minister of Interior can come out with an independent committee, select very independent-minded people to investigate this issue and propose punishment or sanctions for those affected.
ACP, I get that point. I get that point very clearly. Yes, I get that point.
They may as well water down the effect of what we are talking about.
I get that point very clearly. But the import of the question I asked was whether you thought that PIPS then, now PPSB, has also been run down, because I know that there used to be results coming from PIPS.
Well, you may have had certain results, but I'm telling you that the best result you can have in very well-established democracies, and as we are growing, we must begin to relate this kind of examples. We must have an independent complaint commission to investigate such infractions by the police. The police must not investigate themselves when it has to do with infractions with civil society and civilians. The police must not be allowed to do this kind of thing.
Now, one of the reasons we are having this conversation is because 2 people were detained 48 hours and it was done illegally, and the police has admitted doing this unlawful detention. Just remind us again, really, the established protocol when a suspect is arrested until the time he or she is arraigned.
Now, before I even continue, you remember that the same Oliver Baka-Gomewo was detained beyond 48 hours when he was first arrested in respect of the alleged treason case?
The treason felony.
48 hours. Yes, it's on record. He was detained beyond 48 hours. This is an issue that is prevalent in the police service. It is happening. You are hearing it because it has to do with democracy help people. Ordinary citizens are being detained beyond 48 hours and nobody cares. And that is why there must be an established protocol, and people must be sanctioned, an independent committee must come out. But back to your question, when you arrest somebody in respect of any case, constitutionally and in our service instruction, the first thing is to caution the person. First of all, cautioning means that you must let the person know of his rights, the right to remain silent, the right to get a counsel of his or her choice, and then if the person decides to say that to say that he will not say anything, you leave it like that and you write it on the statement form that the person says he will not say anything. Because most of the cases, this is one issue that leads to abuse. And you must also grant the person access to his relatives or his lawyers, whether he wants to say something or not to say something, grant him access. So people should not be held incommunicado. That's what that's the technical term for it. And then, no matter what happens, whatever investigation you have to do, maybe you want to take pictures, you want to go to the scene of crime, maybe you want to even get witnesses. At the end of the day, if you are unable to get all the results within 48 hours, put the person before court. Not after 48 hours, because once it goes beyond 48 hours, you have breached even the Constitution. And these are some of the things. And it's been happening every time in the police service.
I know you've talked about independent investigative body, but in the meantime, there's supposed to be some investigations into it. What will the investigators be looking for from where you sit?
First of all, I've told you that I don't trust this kind of investigation from the police. But what the investigators will be looking for is simple. When was the person brought into the police custody? And when was he released to court? Now, take note that there is a possibility that people are going to meddle with the with the timing, because it has to do with the police. No, you see, arrest occurs immediately you restrain the person's movement. So if the person was arrested at Independence Square or was arrested at 37, technically the arrest has taken place. If it took him 2 hours or 5 hours to get him into a custody in maybe Kaswa, the arrest had taken place long before that time. Now, it will be recorded there after 5 hours when he reaches there. But the arrest must have taken place 5 hours earlier or 6 or 10 hours earlier. You see, these are technical issues that we must avert ourselves to. Arrest occurs when you restrain a person's movement, period. It is not when you detain the person. As for Kaswa, they are going to detain the person. But the arrest takes place once you restrain the person. You say you are under arrest and you arrest the person. That's it. You have put the person in the vehicle. You have arrested him. So it starts counting. 48 hours starts counting from that point. It is not when you have detained him formally by way of putting himself. These are issues that we must begin to challenge everywhere.
Issues we must begin to challenge everywhere. Wondered here. Thank you very much, ACP Dr. Benjamin Agozo. He's a retired senior police officer.
It's some 29 minutes to 6 p.m. here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Y and beyond. Also streaming right now on Facebook at 3FM 927. If you go on my Facebook page right now, you get to follow all the issues. And the Bank of Ghana has launched its gold coin, which will be available on the market in the next 2 weeks for purchase by investors. If you want to have an idea of how this gold coin looks like, just go on our Facebook page at 3FM 927. We're displaying the these gold coins, the exhibits, as were shown by the Bank of Ghana earlier today at 3FM 927 on our Facebook page right now. This is the first time the central bank is issuing gold coins as an alternative investment asset available to the general public. Governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, who launched the coin at a press conference earlier today, explained that the Ghana gold coin enables the Bank of Ghana to mop up extra liquidity in the banking sector. He said individuals can purchase it in 3 different ounces, options at all commercial banks across the country. Let's take a listen to him.
The Ghana gold coin enables the Bank of Ghana to mop up extra liquidity in the banking sector and will supplement the use of our Bank of Ghana bills and overnight depots for liquidity management. It gives savers resident in Ghana an additional avenue to invest to reap the benefits of the Bank of Ghana's domestic gold purchase program. Gold, as you all know, has been remarkable and resilient as a financial asset and can serve as a hedge during periods of economic turbulence. We see the issuance of this Ghana gold coin. It democratizes access to enduring financial assets, enabling Ghanaian residents to diversify their financial portfolios. In the next 2 weeks, this will be available in the market to be purchased through commercial banks using the Ghana cedi and will be priced on the basis of the London Bullion Market Association auction price.
Well, you have the governor of the central bank there. Now, let's get a bit more into this. And Professor John Gachi is the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. He's joining us on the telephone. Professor Gachi, appreciate your time. Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
The line is not clear.
Hello, Prof. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Now, the objective, at least as communicated by the central bank governor for the launch of these gold coins today, is to serve as a new investment option for the investing public. I mean, for you and from where you sit, will this gain the needed patronage, especially because of the investment climate that we have now?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but it's just an additional investment vehicle that those investors who are interested can buy into it. but it's not a guarantee that it will receive huge patronage, and it's also not a guarantee that that will be the savior for our currency. People generally need currency, foreign currency, to engage in international transactions. And we know how the central bank have been rationing supply of currency to sectors of the economy. Those who are importing fuel into the country and others. Those investment vehicles that have been created through the coin, the gold coin, will not be exchanged for the demand for hard dollars to transact in foreign transactions. So this is targeting those people who engage in, if for lack of better word, hoarding of currency. As to whether there is indeed hoarding of currency in the country, we are yet to see when this is rolled out. But what I know is that some people also invest in buying dollars as a store of value and as an investment instrument. Maybe some of those people will be interested in buying the coin to keep. But that will not be the solution to the currency, in my opinion.
So he makes the governor of the central banks makes the strong point that if you don't buy dollars, you will buy treasury bills.
And let me add.
Right.
The buying and selling of gold or refined gold, as we are calling coin, is actually traded in organized market or in OTC market. And we also want to be very careful not to turn the Bank of Ghana into a quasi-capital market. The Bank of Ghana is a central bank. It's a regulator of a commercial bank. It's not a capital market. And we also need to be very careful about gradually allowing the Bank of Ghana to serve as a quasi-capital market.
I see. Now, there's a point that the central bank governor makes that essentially if you don't buy dollars, you will buy treasury bills or bonds. And they're giving you an opportunity from the domestic gold purchasing program to also buy gold. And that's what they're trying to do now with this whole initiative.
I think people will not buy gold because they are proud that they're buying Ghana gold. People will only buy gold if it makes sense for their investment activities. They will never buy gold because this gold is produced in Ghana, so I want to invest in it. No.
And that's not going to be enough convincing for any investor looking at the space right now.
The investor is looking at what will give the desired return. So if the investor pays his or her assessment, realizes that if he invests in gold over time, he will get a good return, then he will attempt to invest in it. If the assessment over time, the return will not be what he is expecting, he will not invest in it. Investors are not patriotic citizens, so to say. Investors are people chasing returns. When the return is not there, they will not go. And even if the return is there, but the volatility surrounding the return is something they cannot carry, they will not go.
But gold has always been described as a safe haven for investment, is it not? I mean, the yellow metal, and I'm looking at how things are playing out on the Bloomberg terminal right now. It's looking good.
Well, if it were to be so, it would have been saving South African economy. It would have been saving the economy of Switzerland. It would have been saving the economy of the U.S. Because they have the highest gold reserve, we know. But the point is, people will continue to demand hard dollars for engagement in international transactions. That is different from you assuming that there is some money that you want to mobilize by incentivizing people to invest in the gold.
Prof, I do appreciate your expert analysis on this matter. And as always, we'll see how the coming days will look like. Thank you so much. Professor John Gachiza, Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, joining us here on Hot Edition.
Let's bring you some health issues and the fears that some fish consumed here in Accra could be contaminated by chemicals flowing from the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital's drains, which end up in the sea. Godwin Asidiba uncovers this disturbing situation in his documentary, Troubled Morgue.
The mortuary's drainage system remains a disaster waiting to happen. Wastewater, now more toxic than ever, flows untreated from the mortuary into major drains.
The smell in here is absolutely unbearable. You can't be able to stay around for more than a minute. Now, it is alleged that the wastewater from the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, together with its morgue, flows through its channels where it finally passes through this bigger drain which connects to the Korle Lagoon and finally settles in at the sea. This is unhealthy and poses serious health risk to the populace.
This untreated effluent contaminates the waters where local fishermen ply their trade, creating a public health hazard that extends far beyond the mortuary walls. Kojo Asante, not his real name, has been fishing along the seafront where the morgue's wastewater settles for over 20 years. Though aware of the situation, he continues to fish here with his colleagues. He awaits for the water to rise in the evening, believing it brings more fish to catch and sell.
Much sa fish na mowe.
Yeah, because we say enemy new and once I watch num over work or you did in a tone one call for. Oh, to me high bad. So omu ebia obi ba yare kwa omu nyima do ayare a adekwa mu yare.
Because man for forward problem because of problem customers still now for because mom say ya kesi a and so me the Korle Bu any pay for na me the man.
Public health experts continue to warn that the untreated discharge from the mortuary is a recipe for disaster. The risk of disaster outbreaks looms large, and the longer this situation is allowed to persist, the greater the threat to the public. Director of Metro Public Health at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Florence Kuchi, and her team conduct regular inspections at the morgue, describing the situation as extremely disturbing.
It is not acceptable. Channeling autopsy wastewater straight to water source is not one of the best. It has public health implications on the marine life as well as public health, because the fishes that are in the waters may consume that water, and human beings will also end up consuming the fish. They need some form of digesters that they will channel these wastewater into those digested for it to go through processing, treatment processing, after which the final source that is clean can then be channeled into the water bodies or wherever it is. It can even be used to water plants.
And you heard the excerpt of Godwin Asidiba's documentary titled Troubled Morgue, where the Chief Executive Officer of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Pokuari Ampoma, has assured that plans are underway to address the issues at the Korle Bu morgue, including fixing the drainage system. He shared this in a one-on-one interview with Godwin. Listen.
It's in a deteriorating state. When was the last time you went there, and what did you see?
I go there last week. I was there. The fact that the morgue is not necessarily in a deteriorating state. What most people don't know is that if you go anywhere in the world, okay, most cities have got a city morgue.
Okay.
Now, this city morgue is a morgue where if you find an abandoned body, hit and run victim, murder victim, or there's a forensic investigation, they have to exhume a body.
Right.
That's where those bodies will be sent. Okay. Now, we don't have a city morgue in Accra.
Okay.
So Korle Bu Teaching Hospital morgue has become the default morgue.
Okay.
So you always see hundreds of cases brought in. Now, if Korle Bu decides that, look, these are not our cases, so we turn the bodies away, what will happen?
Right.
You see the kind of outcry that will be in society. But then we are storing all these bodies. Nobody pays Korle Bu Teaching Hospital for storing these bodies.
Right.
No, we have to pay electricity bills at the end of the month.
So, looking at the place now that is serving as a city morgue, are there plans to renovate the place? Because you go there, waters are stagnant in there, flies hovering all around. Do you have plans to address that issue?
Yes, so there's a general drainage issue in that area.
Right.
There's a general drainage issue. So we've engaged the African Development. We've requested for a grant. So the African Development Bank is coming on board with a grant to actually redo the sewage and drainage system for the whole of Korle Bu. Because since Korle Bu was built about 100 years ago, no major rehabilitation or refurbishment have been done for this thing. So of course, 100-year-old. Most of them like asbestos pipes. Some of them have caved in at certain points, and so we need to redo the whole thing. And so that project is going to come on. So they are in the final stage of the preparation for the project to come on. The Ministry of Sanitation, we are grateful to them for coming on board. The Ministry of Finance to support our request to have this project done. And then we also undertaking a project. There's a project that's actually one of the meetings I've had today, where we have finalized to do a new morgue for Korle Bu.
Okay.
So there's a new morgue going to happen for Korle Bu.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Opoku Ware Ampoma, in that interview with Godwin Asideba. Following his documentary, We Stay on Health, because the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana says the shortage of pharmacists in public health facilities is compromising the delivery of quality health care in the country. The society is requesting from the government to approve financial clearance for the recruitment of pharmacists to aid in achieving the universal health coverage target of 2030. Take a listen.
With most health workers leaving the shores of Ghana to seek for greener pastures, there is an obvious gap and shortage of human resources in the health sector. Records from the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana indicate public health facilities in the country are in short of at least 1,000 pharmacists. Whilst the country is reeling from this upset, some pharmacists who are ready to serve and awaiting posting have not been given financial clearance. At the annual general meeting of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, president of the group, Dr. Samuel Kodonko, demanded from government to fill the vacancy without further delay.
The shortage of pharmacists within the public sector is a critical concern. This shortage comprises the compromises the quality of care in many healthcare facilities. We urge the Ministry of Health to prioritize the recruitment of pharmacists nationwide into the public sector and to offer incentives that will attract and retain healthcare professionals in underserved areas.
Deputy Minister of Health, Alexander Kwesi Akwa, revealed that steps are far advanced to recruit the backlog of pharmacists.
I am aware that we have a backlog of pharmacists yet to receive financial clearance for recruitment. We are far advanced in our discussion with the Ministry of Finance to give us the financial clearance. Government is obviously committed to the creation of employment avenues for your young professionals.
Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiasare, admitted the crucial role pharmacists play in achieving quality healthcare delivery and pledged government support.
That's Ibrahim Abubakar there. Now, the West African Examinations Council has reported significant exam malpractices in this year's WASI at various centers across the country. The council disclosed the photocopying of answers and distribution of same to candidates, hiding of foreign material on candidates in the examination hall, smuggling of mobile phones into the exam hall, and also the teachers and invigilators projecting the answers of the questions on the board for the students when amongst the infractions that were identified according to Head of Public Affairs at WAEC, John Kapi. All examination officials found to have engaged in malpractices in the just ended 2024 West African Senior High School Certificate Examination would be sanctioned.
So far, we've received money, so marking of BEC is ongoing. There have been arrangements for the release of further funds for the post-examination activities regarding the WAS. Employed our monitors, and there were other people who assisted us from National Security and then also from NAT and the Ghana Education Service. So these are the monitors who discovered some of these infractions at most of the examination centers across the country.
Mr. Kapi, so if you have to put regions to it. In which regions were these prevalent?
It will be difficult to be specific about prevalence because virtually every region, from the Upper West through the Volta region, Bono, Ahafo, Bono East, Western Central, virtually every region, except, of course, some of the areas where we still haven't received reports from our own personnel. You know, that is... that's only when we can say that probably some regions were more prevalent than others.
Okay, so explain a bit more on the nature of this teaching. I mean, your press release, you mentioned that some lecturers were going to the extent of exposing or projecting answers on boards and projectors for the student. Talk to us a bit more on the detail or the nature of this cheating that the students engaged in.
All right, so we... besides those who concealed material on them, one of the new things that we discovered this year was the use of projectors to display answers on the board. Now they fixed these projectors in the ceiling of the hall, and then they directed them in such a way they could display the responses on the board. And so the students who were in the room were able to copy directly from the projected answers displayed on the board. Now, so this was one new thing that we discovered. Besides that, all the others are old things that we have seen before, just that maybe this time around there were a few additional centers that these photocopies were being used, and then also the use of mobile phones was a bit more prevalent than it was the previous year.
Kapi, it brings us to the conversation out there that probably the West African Examination Council will have to be a bit robust with your security measures to prevent some of these, because it looks like every year the students and the teachers come up with a new technique. You don't agree?
Well, certainly there should be a conversation as to where we go next as far as this particular aspect of the exam is concerned. We are looking at computer-based testing that is quite remote for now, but then we think that if probably there's a broader conversation between us and our major stakeholder, the Ghana Education Service, parents, guardians, and indeed the entire country, all well-meaning Ghanaians who want to see education, progress in this country, should come on board and help us weed out these miscreants, or possibly, if there are better budgetary allocations, we may be able to recruit people that we can use, and then we dismiss as and when we realize that they are not up to the task.
Well, that's John Kapi there. He heads public affairs at the West African Examination Council in that conversation with my colleague Grace Hamwa Ajiman. Now, we've got some information coming through on the National Cathedral that construction of the National Cathedral project is set to resume, according to a statement issued by the chairman of the board, Apostle Professor Opoko Onyina. Apostle Onyina made the announcement following a September 20 meeting between the board of directors of the National Cathedral of Ghana and auditors from Deloitte. The meeting was held to brief church leaders on the statutory audit report covering the period from the project's inception to December 31, 2020, which has now been completed by Deloitte Ghana. The National Cathedral's board had authorized the audit in response to public outcry over alleged corruption and questionable expenditure related to the project. In a statement dated Tuesday, September 24, Apostle Onyina confirmed that the audit report is now ready, clearing the way for construction to resume. And I'm going to read parts of this letter, in fact, a statement from the National Cathedral Secretariat, which we have a copy of. It says the need for an audit, quote, was a key demand by the church leadership and Ghanaians in general to establish the credibility of the implementation of the project. With the completion of this first report, preparations are underway for construction to resume. We appreciate your support so far and trust that the completion of the ongoing audit will renew your prayer and financial support for the National Cathedral project. In the last 7 years, Ghana's taxpayer, or all of us, have expended $58 million on the project, which in August 2024 has not progressed as the government had hoped. An estimated $450 million is needed to complete the project, and it is not clear if that amount is yet available to complete this construction. By mid-2022, various church denominations had contributed 2.21 million Ghana cedis, that's $164,000, towards the construction of the National Cathedral. Though a large sum, the amount is not sufficient on its own to pay the remaining cost of construction. What is seen there is the whole that forms the construction's, as it were, foundation. We'll keep an eye on this and see how things play out. Belishan is standing by with the sports news after this quick break here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Y and beyond. Stay with us.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has a product for you. No susu, no deposit. All you need is your Ghana card. Call 0302-200-390 or 0596-928-33 today and live a bill-free life. Bills Microcredit is licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Now let's start off from local football, where Instructionman's trip to University of Ghana Stadium to face Accra Lions will be their first away game of the season. And coming back from a disappointing campaign in Africa, they hope that they use this as an opportunity to get back on track. Head coach of the side, Yao Preko, has revealed how things are going to be different compared to last season.
New season altogether, and we want to take it step game after game. Whatever happened last season is last season. So you're playing against different opponents and different setups but we'll manage to make sure that we win a lot of away matches and then see how we finish in the top of it in the log.
That was head coach of Instructionman Yao Preko. Now still on the Ghana Premier League, at the Golden City Park, Brekum Chelsea will face Asante Kotoko. They are 7th and 6th respectively, with all amassing 4 points each. Now Kotoko's last 2 visits to the Golden City Park have all ended in defeat. However, Kotoko's head coach Prosper Ogum believes that with a lot of concentration and determination, Kotoko can get some points away at Brekum.
think we need to stay, psychologically, we need to stay very alert throughout the game. We have to be very focused. If we have the ball, we have to be very focused. If we don't have the ball, we have to be very focused. We need to ensure that we are very attentive throughout the game, because any lack of focus can lead to us being punished. So psychologically, I think we need to be there in terms of concentration. We need to be there. Then tactically too, I think that we need to be very compact, very, very compact, because they are going to go in very aggressively, trying to play the long balls behind the defense, explore the spaces behind it. So we need to be very compact, and we need to be very athletic and very fast to the ball. I mean,
that was Asante Kotoko's head coach, Prosper Nate Ogum. Now, head coach of BBN Gold Stars, that is Frimpong Manson, has reviewed how losing star man Alex Aso won't have any effect on their game against Bando Heart of Lions. The gaffer believes the mood in camp is quite good and all is in place to face Heart of Lions.
Camp is fine. Everybody is responding to training, and our preparation is going well, except that we've lost Alex Aso, who happens to be one of our key players. But we are not bothered about his injury, but the rest are all doing very well, and we have a very peaceful atmosphere in camp. Okay.
That was Frimpong Manson, the head coach of BBN Gold Stars. Now, here are the fixtures in the Ghana Premier League for this weekend. Accra Lions will be facing Nsoatreman on Saturday. On Sunday, we have Bechem United versus Dreams FC, Samatex versus Vision FC, Brekum Chelsea versus Asante Kotoko, Heart of Lions versus BBN Gold Stars, Legon Cities versus Karela United, Young Apostles versus Ediana FC, Basake Holy Stars versus Mediama, and Nations FC versus Accra Hearts of Oak. Now let's move on to Europe, where ahead of the game between Manchester United and Tottenham, head coach for Tottenham, Ange Postecoglou, has praised Erik ten Hag for the job he's done at Manchester United. Now Ange believes ten Hag has indeed won two trophies and doesn't think they are insignificant for him.
I think Eric's in a real tough job. He's done really well. You know, he keeps mentioning he's won 2 trophies, and he has, mate. You know, so I don't think that's insignificant. Everyone keeps telling me that's all I have to do, but obviously it's not all you have to do. You know, because when you do that, then there's more. There's always more. So I think he's done a great job, and like I said, a difficult job. And you know, at Old Trafford, it's tough there. You look at their record, irrespective of the managers, it's still a fairly compelling record there.
That's Ange Postecoglou, the head coach of Tottenham Hotspur. Now to our final story. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola has admitted that Rodri will be out for the season. The Spaniard was stretched off on Sunday against Arsenal and will no longer play a part this campaign. Pep believes, although it will be a challenge to find a replacement, the team would fight together.
What he gave us, we don't have a similar player, but the other players all together can replace what Rodri has or have given since arrive to us. So we have to do it as a team, and we have to find a way, to play during a lot of months without an important player for us.
They indeed have to find a way to play. That was Pep Guardiola, the head coach of Manchester City. Here are the fixtures in the Premier League this weekend. Newcastle versus Man City, Arsenal versus Leicester, Brentford versus West Ham, Chelsea versus Brighton, Everton versus Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest versus Fulham, Wolves versus Liverpool, Ipswich versus Aston Villa, Manchester United versus Tottenham, and Bournemouth versus Southampton. That brings an end to the sports segments here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen, and Menuafo is on standby with the latest in business.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Menu Afo. We'll go straight to our first story. And a professor of finance at Andrews University in the USA, William Sepra, is calling for increased public sensitization following the launch of the Ghana Gold coin by the Bank of Ghana. The coin, according to the central bank, is designed to provide Ghanaians with new investment options and help stabilize the cedi liquidity in the banking sector. We'll hear from Professor William Sepra. But first, let's hear what the governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, had to say about the new Ghana Gold coin, which was unveiled at the 120th Monetary Policy Committee press briefing here in Accra.
The Ghana Gold coin enables the Bank of Ghana to more perpetual liquidity in the banking sector and will supplement the use of Bank of Ghana bills and overnight depots for liquidity management. It gives savers resident in Ghana an additional avenue to invest with the benefits of the Bank of Ghana's domestic gold purchase program. Gold, as you all know, has been remarkable and resilient as a financial asset and can serve as a hedge during periods of economic turbulence. We see the issuance of this Ghana Gold coin. It democratizes access to enduring financial assets, enabling Ghanaian residents to diversify their financial portfolios. In the next 2 weeks, this will be available in the market to be purchased through commercial banks using the Ghana cedi and will be priced on the basis of the London Bullion Market Association auction price.
That was Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, on the newly launched Ghana Gold coin. Meanwhile, US-based Professor of Finance William Sepra has emphasized the need for increased public sensitization and assurance to investors that the product is risk-free, particularly in light of recent financial market uncertainties.
What they need to do is to do a lot of education, also a lot of probably media engagement and adverts to make sure that this is well known. And then also, as education goes, to be able to point to some countries and the benefits derived. And this is going to ensure that our government, central bank, is now ready to ensure that the gold investment really works. Indeed, our central bank must also assure investors that there is a very strong safe where the gold will be kept without any issue of people coming to steal anything or something like that. That is also one major requirement, where the gold will be kept. It's also very important, that kind of security. So that assurance must also be given, and that will bring in the confidence that is needed in the Ghanaian market. And then also the last one is liquidity for the gold. If someone wants to sell the gold, there should be another party who is ready to buy all the time. It should not be like you buy the gold and you want to sell it and you cannot find anyone to buy.
That was US-based Professor of Finance William Sepra. Before we go, the German Agency for International Cooperation, GIZ, has highlighted that a significant number of Ghanaians are excluded from e-commerce services due to limited internet connectivity. Component manager Emmanuel Momuni emphasized that integrating the market is crucial for the growth of the e-commerce sector. He assured that GIZ is collaborating with stakeholders to enhance internet accessibility and boost e-commerce demand.
There are lots of people that are still not part of this digital transformation that we're talking about. And that's just a market that we are leaving out because if people are living in peri-urban or rural areas and don't have any connectivity, it's a market that is not buying online. And the more we integrate them, the more we include them, it becomes another market segment that people selling online can attract or can sell to. And so we're working a lot with World Bank, with the ministry to expand accessibility. So the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communication is doing a lot, installing telecommunication masts in various rural communities that they can have basic internet connectivity, and that would improve e-commerce as well.
Well, that's it for the business segment. My name is Minu Afo. For more stories, please check out our website. It's www.3news.com. Hot edition continues. Stay tuned.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer from a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my way to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to extensive analysis, insights, and highlights.
So join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the most satisfying buffet in the world of sports. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in sports on Sports Ultras.
Thank you very much, Billy Shan, for bringing us the latest in sports, as well as Manoa 4 with the latest in business. Of Matthew Poku Pempe as the vice presidential candidate of the governing New Patriotic Party does not imply that Mencia's Palace supports the NPP. The Asante monarch, though, says that although Dr. Matthew Poku Pempe is related to him, it does not imply that the Mencia Palace supports the political party where Napo belongs to. Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II said this when the NDC vice presidential candidate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, paid a courtesy call on him at the palace.
Yamese mundia munni yamese mubedia oyeden amobedi sa na nyame nhyehyɛ bibia mfa botre na mfa mpa bonte che yenkoma ne yemo.
I heard that the Santihine Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II. Well, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman also thanked the king for his continuous advice to her and the NDC over the years.
Na se na akwaye emre tosumienu aye wura mahama waye de oye enfie na ya besen ko eni biu enti no na minim sanka na se ma ba dedaada na ensam no do so na de me se fa ho ne chemi enti me ba ya me beda me ho di akire obiu se akwan no ma sensi su biu na mpa ibo na aboma me no akwan kire wa futu no ende mpa ho enti na me ba ya me beje mpa ibo mabeje akwantre abeje futu na sadanya me behyehyɛ no abanesa na akoyie amaga na manyina na ntime baya masam tititia no medase.
You had the NDC running mate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, will remain in the Ashanti region because former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Beatrice Adu says that the governing New Patriotic Party's target of securing 85% vote in the Ashanti region will remain a dream. She spoke after a campaign launch of the NDC in Menchia North constituency. Listen to exactly what she said.
I don't see how, by any calculation or by any genuine election, they can pull that number. It's just not possible. It's totally impossible from all the signs we are having, from both the indigenous Ashanti and the settler community, from both our traditional voters, from the first-time voters, from the women, and from those who traditionally vote only MPP because a Yenya party. We have changed, and it's going to manifest in a really great way.
Former Attorney General Beatrice Adu and the flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama, is on his third leg of the Greater Accra Regional Campaign Tour with a focus on spare parts business hub of Accra. The NDC in its manifesto has given firm assurance of giving a fixed rate for import duties to alleviate the plight of the importers, especially the spare parts dealers. Komla Kricha is following the former president. He joins us live on the line. Komla, what can you tell us from where you are?
Well, I can say for a fact that it's been a crisscrossing of the major business hub of Accra, especially the spare parts side. John Mahama has, in time past, indicated, his resolve to get the spare units of the congested area of the Abosu and then the Popofe sport. But in meeting them today, there's a further assurance from him that a 50-acre land has already been acquired and is being worked on through his administration. That's the past administration which he added, and that when he secures the mandate of the people, this is something they are going to do to decongest the whole of that area. The reason he makes the point of decongestion is because patrons who go to this hub do not get even a place to park their cars, and sometimes their vehicles are left at the mercy of miscreants who break into them and all that. But to make the area a business-friendly environment, there's a need for them to move to an area where doing business will become a more friendly one. But he equally spoke about the slaughter he's had on the ballot now, which is the number 8. He says, well, some people have been talking about breaking the 8. He's actually daring them to now talk or to talk about breaking the 8, since he is now the owner of that 8. And that 8, for him, he takes it as a personal thing. He's holding on firm to it, and that it will reflect in the lives of the people in terms of economic development, infrastructure development, and the like. But shortly after that, he moved to the Blakuma West constituency, where we currently are now, specifically in the Dansoman enclave. And he's been speaking and speaking fast, especially on the alleged $800 million Ghana gas deal. He makes the point that it's a straightforward thing. Anybody found neck deep in this, what he's going to do is to go all out after the person if he secures the mandate of the people. Going out in terms of prosecution, because he said this is a deal that requires parliamentary approval, and that the allegation that he reaffirms is being put at the Jubilee House is unacceptable, and he puts a very strong exception to it. All of this will form part of the operation Recover the Loot, which he intends to push further and harder if he secures the mandate of the people.
Komla, let's return to the Abosu Hub, because he will not be the first flag bearer, as it were, to be in that enclave. Can you tell us the kind of reaction or response you got after those promises?
I mean, truth be told, this is a typical enclave this is the part that actually gets a lot of votes from the cabinet MPP. But one thing is quite clear with the people, that the way they were doing business in or during the time of John Mahama compared to now, there's an absolute or a sharp difference when you have to compare the two. And it all boils down to how the currency has depreciated. Now, they make the point that, if somebody is importing a 40-footer container somewhere in 2016, one person or two people can come together and import a 40-footer container and clear it with ease. But now, even 6 people, between 6 and 10, they are not even able to clear one 40-footer container of spare parts. And this is the reflection of the hardship that we are facing. But it boils down to the fact that all they want is a leader who will give them, an economic, for want of a better word, a holiday, or make business a friendly one to them. They are able to recover, money they invest in the business, make the profits, and equally take care of the families of people who look up to them. And so for them, it's all about making the environment a friendly one and allowing people also to have access to the business that they are doing. This is what their concern is all about. And they think that, yes, of course, with the policies that John Mahama had, well, it's a friendly one, and they believe that once the people of this country give him the nod, they will equally be there to support him.
Komla, we know that the Greater Accra region in particular is a swing region, and we also do know per data that any flag bearer who wins the Greater Accra region seems to be ahead in terms of getting the presidential slot eventually. Beyond the Ablekuma, which is where you are currently, do we know plans of the former president regarding this tour in this region?
Well, this will be the third leg. And mind you, from what we get from the is likely to do between 4 or 5 legs in the Greater Accra region is segmented, such that because of how Greater Accra is densely populated, he cannot do all of them in about a week, and so there's a need for him to stagger it. The more reason why currently he's doing this particular one, and he's spending just today covering about 4 constituencies in the Greater Accra region, specifically the Ablekuma FA. That's what he's focusing on. And then the weekend that lies ahead, he would be heading out of the capital again to continue the campaign. He is heightening the campaign because now balloting has been done, and there's a need for him to galvanize more support, because this is a non-renewable 4th term he is seeking to have, and it appears probably if he's unable to secure this, I'm not too sure if possibly maybe returning again. And so all arsenals have been put on deck. Every effort has been put into this, from what we understand from the handlers, to him to be able to secure the mandate of the people.
Thank you very much, Komla Klucha. He's our correspondent following the former president, John Mahama, who is also the flag bearer. And that'll be it for Campaign Trail here on Hot Edition on Shri FM 92.7. And that's it for Hot Edition on Shri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. I did this with Alfredo Kanse. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Have a good evening and do enjoy the rest of our programs.